So here is the date example. So it's giving us the date. Do we have to run it again to make it go forward? Yes. So every time the page is loaded, it pulls that information. So it's not constantly updating, as you can see. It's just running it. Every time we click. Okay, cool. So maybe we can do something like change the background color of the screen based on this date element. So let's look at it. So this creates a new date object. So what that actually is an array with the information that's inside of date. So the assignment is asking you to dig into this function that comes with JavaScript and like break it down enough so that you can pull information out of it that you can use, whether that's date to display on your web page or like taking that information and passing it to something else like CSS or something that you want to display. So let's look at how we get that stuff. So here in the example, we use date with the brackets, but we didn't specify anything. So it gave us the whole thing. It took this information and it put it inside of D, and then we took the inner HTML of our demo paragraph that we've been using to display information all along, and we gave D to it. So if we say D dot, okay. So let's break this down. Just that you might understand a little bit better how it works. So this should be more like something like display millis, right? Because we want to display the millis. Okay, and we're getting all the information from date, we're putting it into D. And then we're making a new variable. So this is the same structure that you see here. We're taking this D, which contains in it like the milliseconds, the seconds, the hours, the minutes, blah, blah, blah. And we're applying this method, which is get milliseconds. So what I was doing was I was just asking it to give me the milliseconds by trying to pass it through the curly braces. But because I don't know what the function date looks like I don't know what its inner code is, it's hidden from me. That didn't work. It works this other way. Looking for documentation and looking for working examples is like a really important place to start when you're dealing with a new language or just like new information, maybe a part of a language, a new part of a language that's new to you. Because sometimes like it doesn't follow the same logic that you might have in your mind. And like it's okay if your logic is different. Okay, so we've put that information into D here. So you can imagine this like big yellow arrow that might be taking that information from date and like passing it into D. And then we're making a new variable called N. And we are taking now the information from this and we're passing it into N. And this is saying, take the information that was inside of date and apply this right here, which you could see based on these parentheses over here, that this is actually also a function that's in JavaScript. And get like that bit of that entire chunk. So there was also get seconds, I believe. I don't know if this will do anything. Get milliseconds. Who knows? No. Doesn't work. So maybe we would have to like do we can make another variable, call it something else, and then make this be get milliseconds. And then here, if we had like another element, we could pass it to. Now we have both. So we could build out an entire clock this way. We could like pull all the information. Let's see if there's get minutes. And I think I'm going to rename these so that they match. So the one that gets the minutes we can call M. The one that gets the seconds we can call S. Oh no, M again. We can call this one milli. So then we can type milli here, seconds here. Minutes here. And you can see my numbering is demo, demo 1, demo 2. So I'm actually counting from 0 as well. Okay, let's see if that gives us, okay, so we have a bit of a stopwatch clock going now. Okay, so let's break this down a little bit. So again, same thing. Repetition is like the way to remember things. We have our button, which loads or which runs the function. So we don't get the time. We don't get to see the milliseconds or the seconds moving forward unless we trigger this button to run the function. So the clock is still. The clock exists, but it's not moving unless we like tick it and tell it to move. So button that triggers the function. Place to display our clock. Okay, we could change the name of this function maybe now, because this is more, we're not displaying milliseconds, we're displaying a clock. So it's more reflective of what it's doing. Declare function that is a clock, I guess. Get the date and time from JavaScript. Get the bits, the parts, like the seg bits. Get the time. What do we call this? So basically what we're doing here is we're getting the elements out of the, it's kind of like an array, the dateObject. It's this like invisible array that contains like things in all these different spots. So get the component parts of the date object and put them in individual variables, right? And then pass that information to HTML elements for display. So you could make a cool diagram if you were like drawing a like almost like a Rube Goldberg machine of moving parts to show how this works. Okay. So let's finish this out. What time is it? Well, this isn't going to give us the time because we're missing the hour, right? So let's add one more. For H, I don't know if it's get hours, get hour. We shall see. And we can even say we can, oh, nope. We can say the current time is nothing because I made a mistake somewhere in my code. I wonder if it's this get hour thing, and if that's not a thing that exists. Let's see. Get hours. Okay. So that's one of the bummers, as I'm sure you know already, of web programming. If we were using an IDE, a development environment, it would give us errors. It would try to help us like figure out what's wrong with our code. This does not give us any errors, which is why the developer tools are so helpful. The debugger, the console, the inspector, all these things will like try to give you helpful guesses and like tell you where the code is breaking so that you know what you have to fix or what you have to research in order to get your thing working. And if that doesn't work for you, just like research the heck out of your object that you're working with. Okay, here's our clock. So maybe it's a little annoying that it needs to be clicked all the time. So that could be a something for you to work on as you work on your document.